Welcome back to another sickly episode of this week's.
Yeah.
When are we going to get over these goddamn fall colds and coughing
Yep.
and all this crap?
Yep.
I'm out there like whatever. I'm out there yesterday and went to see a soccer game and like, oh, it's beautiful out, and meanwhile I'm coughing up like a lung and coughing like a maniac.
Who'd you end up seeing? Who'd you end up seeing?
Oh, it was just like a local game, just like for one of our friends, just to.
Oh, look. Okay, I got.
Yeah, it was a local one. Yeah, family and friends there. Yeah, but still, it was like, oh, it's so nice out. Meanwhile, I'm like coughing my brains out the whole
Your brains out. Yep.
freaking. But we're back, episode number 8. I'm gonna lose track at some point. I know we'll have it in the title and stuff, but I'm gonna lose track very quickly. But we're back, and believe it or not, I did watch a full game. So, been providing a lot of analytics and, all this insightful info the last little bit. It's probably the second game that I've watched fully this year outside of the live watch party. So the live watch party with the Canucks, didn't see a single game on the weekend with Flyers Canucks. But I watched the last one. I know, Neil, you were out, were you not? I think you were at a game. Were you?
For what day? What was that?
It was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday.
No, I mean Monday I was at the Devils game against Utah.
Right.
Tuesday, nope. Tuesday I just kept it on my phone.
You're like, I didn't want to watch them.
No, that's not it. I keep tabs. Believe me, guys, I keep tabs. It's hard to get Canadian broadcasts in America.
It's true.
It's a lot harder than you think it is.
It's okay. My Sportsnet subscription, where I can watch all the games, just came in the other day.
That's great.
It was a little pricey. It wasn't what I was expecting, but that's okay. I paid the piper.
I feel like that's the same for people who get like ESPN Plus. Like they tell you that it's like $5, and you find out that it's not that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it another time, but like just have it all on one goddamn platform, and let's keep it at a nice price. That's all I'm saying.
$10 a month for everything.
Yeah. That's gonna work out well. Anyway, so we're back, and this team still hasn't lost, amazingly. But you ready to dive into it?
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could show that clip from Shoresy where it's just like, this team will never lose again.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to apply soon, maybe with this team, but if you're going to do it, you got to do it like today.
No, Kyle, the Flames are going to go 82-0. Like,
of course.
It's all in the script. You didn't get it of the year?
So my prediction is I think they can win Saturday because they're good in Seattle. And then I think they'll probably end up losing. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose both games next week. That's just my thing. We'll see how it goes. But I could be, hey, we've been totally wrong up to this point. They're 4-0.
And Seattle's coming off a really impressive win against Nashville a couple nights ago. They put up 7 goals, all 7 on Yusei Saros. All 7. I know it's early in the year and goaltending doesn't usually go well in the first couple of weeks of the season, but I mean,
it was impressive. Yeah,
it was impressive. And I think they've gotten better offensively.
Now that I'm thinking of it, you say goalies because this just happened today. Quick thoughts on Jake Ottinger getting his 8-year deal this morning.
He got literally the exact same deal as Jeremy Swayman, and I think that was kind of the hope. With it. Because
do you think that that's what he's valued at? Like right at the line with Jeremy Swayman? Like I think he's more valuable because he's younger.
That's the thing. I think that Ottinger's more valued than Swayman. And I think because it's tough because I think with Ottinger, I think it was going to be easier. It didn't seem like from what I've heard from Dallas people that there was ever like a lot of doubt that they weren't going to get a deal done. I think what made it very easy for the Stars and Ottinger was the fact that you had this type of deal with Swayman out there that you could go off of. And it's better to do it now than when Igor Shesterkin gets whatever God contract he's going to get. And I'm afraid to even find out what he may or may not get in the...
I think he's inching towards 11.8. Like, we're talking decimals here with this guy. Yeah. And it's like, you're like, I don't know. I think it makes no sense. And people, I remember just reading comments about Shesterkin, like him turning down the 11 million, and people were like, "Oh, like good for him, like get all the money." And I'm like, "You're kind of hurting this team a little bit, man. Like, okay, you better live. Let's put it this way: for the next 8 years, you better live up to that $11 million a year.
I agree. I agree.
You better don't turn into Bobrovsky for the first 4. You know, you can
I
turn
mean,
it around like he did and won a cup,
it kind
but
of worked out at the end, right?
oh,
Kind
that's
of
what I'm
worked.
saying. Like it worked out in the end, but don't turn into an egg the first 4 years of that contract.
Oh, 100%. And I think that going back to Ottinger, it's really good because I think what you end up seeing is Ottinger is now underpaid. I think just based
Yeah,
off of who he is as a player. So I think that's good business by the Stars. Honestly, good job by
that was
Jim Nill
good.
to get that done. And then you look at us, and we have no money being given to goaltenders.
That's okay. They're good. You
Four
know
and
what?
zero.
It'll come. It'll come, and we're 4-0.
Yeah,
You
we're
ready?
4-0, and our goaltenders are making less than what is it like less than five, if
Something
that.
like that, and I love it,
Something,
and I love it.
something, something like that. And yeah, I mean, you can't complain, right? You can't complain with the way we've seen this team through the first couple of games. Um, I
Well,
felt, I mean,
that could change
sure,
in a matter of minutes here.
matter of minutes, yeah, depending on what we talk about. But I think just from when you look at it on surface that they're 4-0 and they've won, some games that maybe they didn't think that they were supposed to win. I mean, you look at the first game of the season coming back, dominating Edmonton, who continues to
Or Vancouver,
struggle.
first game of the season. Vancouver.
Vancouver, excuse me,
Yeah.
Vancouver, and then you had the Edmonton game a couple days ago. And I think with the Blackhawks game, I mean, again, you know what? I'm gonna hold off on what
Let's
I'm
hold on.
saying.
Let's
Yeah,
dive into it. How about
yeah.
that?
Let's
Dive
actually
right
just
into
dive
it.
into it.
Okay. All right, let's do it. So Tuesday night happens. Blackhawks Flames. For the first time since 2009, this team now goes 4-0. Before that, if you wanted to look at the last time they went 4-0, you have to go all the way back to 1993-94 season. The last time the Flames again were also 4-0, but they get the job done regardless. Um, Overall, watching the whole game, there were some good things out of it. There were some not so good things out of it. To start with the good, I think the fourth line was the best line that night. I thought Kirkland, Coronado, and Lomberg. I thought Ryan Lomberg was hands down the best player that night. He
Thousand
looks
percent.
every single night. He looks so comfortable. He looks like he's got all the confidence in the world, just coming off of a Stanley Cup win. No kidding. And he just looks like he's just, I think looking back at this addition this offseason with him, it's sneaky good, man. You need a
Oh yeah,
guy like him on this team. And I'm so happy that he's just fitting into this role and doing what Huska is basically telling a lot of these guys to do is just play your part, play your role, and this is how we're going to win games. And this is how they won a game on Tuesday night to go 4-0 with a 3-1 win over Chicago. Kind of harped on him before a little bit, and he kind of punched us in the mouth a little bit too, as Matt Coronado pots his not only first of the year, but also gets the empty netter late in the game. Andre Kuzmenko on a beautiful tip. That was a power play goal.
that was a power play
Power
goal.
play goal.
You are
Yeah, it was a
correct.
power play goal. Beautiful. Yeah, it was a good tip in from the point from, I believe it was Huberto who shot it.
Correct.
Zari picked up another point as well. But yeah, as soon as Coronado scored first goal, about 10 seconds later, Nick Foligno decides, I'm going to tip one from right above Wolf's neck. And it goes right
Right.
between his pads and into the net. So, yeah, starting with the good. Yeah, I thought that fourth line was sensational. I thought they were really good. They were very fast, too. That is a fast fourth line. Kirkland blocking shots late in the game. I thought he played really well defensively. Lomberg setting the tone. Coronado, I thought he settled in very nice. And, that was one of my questions kind of earlier on is like, man, I don't know how you can really justify putting Coronado on the fourth line. And all of a sudden, they're kind of evening out minutes here for this entire roster on this top 12 here. And Coronado's just finding his way, regardless wherever, right? And going into Saturday's game, he's going to be more than likely given a chance to play on the top line due to Honzek's injury. He took a bad hit due to, I think it was Connor Murphy who ended up hitting him late in that one. Bit of a concussion. So he's out week to week. We'll get into that a little bit. But to finish off with the good, I thought Dustin Wolf came up big. They kind of mentioned it on watching Barn Burner. The guys do an amazing job over there, and I love listening to them. And they kind of mentioned beforehand, it's like Wolf, it's not like yes, he's small, but on Tuesday night, he played big, if
He
that
did.
makes sense. You know what I mean? He played big. I thought he made some really key saves off of Connor Bedard, too, which was really important. Yeah, I thought he played sensational that night. If it wasn't for, if it's not Ryan Lombard being the best player in my eyes that night, I thought Dustin Wolf was sensational, and he had to make a lot of really big saves in key moments, and especially in that whole third period where they were just kind of flat-footed and they couldn't really get anything going offensively. They were playing defensively that entire third period. So yeah, I thought Wolf played exceptionally well that night, and again, he's just continuing to make his case more and more to hopefully be a further starting goaltender to play more games for the team going forward, maybe over Vladar, but we'll see how it goes. On the bad side of it, I thought the power play was atrocious. I did not like the power
Despite
play.
it scoring a goal.
My God, just the first power play of the game that they had, it was, I think Chicago probably had 3 or 4 scoring chances going down the other
Yeah.
end. And when Calgary finally got set up, you had about 10 seconds left on the power play, and then they didn't make much out of it when it came to pass. So it was pretty disappointing to watch that power play go. So something that Husky, I think, is going to get his team together a little bit and say, guys, like, we got to be a little better with that. Just, I understand you score in the power play later on, but it's like you wasted a whole 2 minutes by, ticking around your whole zone there and giving up the puck so easily. And you mentioned it before jumping on too, is that, there was just so much passing happening around, 5-on-5 or even on the power play. There was just so much passing that you wanted somebody to shoot and nobody was getting it done. Right. And I think easily, like, against this team, the way that they were controlling this game for the better part of 2 periods, like, somebody's got to fire it at some point. I thought I was just screaming at the TV. It's like,
Yeah.
somebody's got to do something here. So yeah, it was just frustrating to watch, knowing that might be the case again this year, where all of a sudden, guys are just not. You're in the slot. You have a good chance, 3-on-2, 5-on-5, whatever it is in their zone, and you're not testing Mrazek. Mrazek, I felt, wasn't really tested at all on Tuesday night, despite letting in 2 goals and then the empty netter. So anyway, those are my kind of quick thoughts. We'll kind of get into it a bit more, but you're good, bad, and ugly from I say that from Tuesday's win against the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I mean, from the good, I think for me, just Dustin Wolf having the game that he did, that is about as confident as I've seen Dustin Wolf. And I think you talk about, he's a small guy, but he was playing big. The the difference that I saw in Dustin Wolf is that he did a much better job of coming much higher up in the crease and really challenging guys to take those far end shots. And I think that that's kind of where a goaltender of his size, that's where it works out, because you got to make yourself bigger. You have to be more active and you have to find different ways to create, frustration for the other team when it comes to finding shooting lanes. And I think that Wolf did that. And I think that's what we have to see more at a consistent level from Wolf, just being aggressive, not leaning back and trying to let the play come to him. Make the play happen. Make the play happen the way you want to be prepared for it. And if they get a shot past you, and if it's a tough angle shot, I mean, I'm not going to really get that frustrated. If you're playing, if you're playing deep into your net and you're giving up these like low, soft goals, then I'm going to have a problem with it. But overall, yeah, just a really strong effort from Wolf. The bad, like you mentioned, power play. 2 things that stand out to me. Number 1, their entry into the zone, horrible.
Yeah.
I have an issue, and I've seen it from multiple teams, and this is where it's clearly obvious the NHL is a copycat league. I don't get how you come up the center of the ice, and you have a defenseman come up the center of the ice, makes a backwards pass to whomever you want to have come into the zone. The first thing that they do is always pass it to their left or right as they're coming in. Either an offsides is going to happen. Against a 1-3-1 defense, it's so much easier to just get a stick in it and just knock it away. Like, I'm not a big fan of dump and chase. I've never been a big fan. But with this team, I feel like dump and chase would be a bit better of an entry of a zone entry. That's what I
Yeah.
would like to see. Face offs. We've talked about it. We talked about it in the last episode. Still an issue. Still somewhat of an issue, especially when you're on the power play. That's how you lose momentum right away, is that you lose that face off. They're easily dumping it down, and then all of a sudden you're having to think about your zone entry again. And then if you're already having problems with that, it's everything. Number two, I will give everybody a very simple saying. Good things happen when you put the puck on net. And I don't know why in the NHL, this isn't just with the Flames, it's with a lot of teams, why when you have an advantage, whether it's a one-man advantage or two, why everybody's looking for the perfect shot. Like
Yeah.
it's not that complicated. Just get it on net. And with this type of Flames team, it's important to get it on net. Look at the goal that Kuzmenko scored. Where is he? Right in front of the net. It's
That's it.
exactly where he needs to be. Exactly. He tipped it. So for me, I want to see Huska, you know, really push these guys to just throw everything at the net because you don't know what can happen in those situations. And that goes for 5-on-5 as well. That's the way I would like to see it. So that's that. The ugly, I mean, there's not really anything ugly, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I said that. I
I
was
guess
like, I don't think
I
there's
would
nothing ugly at
categorize
all.
the power play as like good and ugly, bad and
Sure.
ugly. Like like you said, they scored a power play goal. Yeah, but their power play looks like garbage.
Yeah.
So,
And that's
other
all you
than
needed. And you said it. Like, no, you totally said it. Like, it doesn't have to be pretty. And I find like they're doing a lot of these passes where all you need to do is how many times have we seen it before where the amount of garbage goals and rebound goals and tips that go in, it's like just fire it on net. As soon as you have like, there's always like, okay, there's the difference though between when you hear people shouting in stands, shoot, shoot, and you have 4 or 5 people standing in front of you, right? Like, okay, not going to make sense, right?
right,
There's points where I'm watching it going, okay, now pull the trigger when you've got one, maybe 2 bodies in front of, in this case, Mrazek, right? Mrazek to me is not a top 10 goalie in the league, top 20, top 30, whatever. But for God's sakes, just put it on net, man.
I
Like,
agree.
I think it was frustrating. Like, going into the third period, we had, what was it, 20 shots on goal, which is still good, but it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like this entire game
Yeah,
watching it
you
that
didn't
there was a
feel like
lot of
that they
quality
were really
chances.
generating a lot. You
Yeah,
felt
there was
like they
no
got 20
quality.
shots, but it didn't feel you didn't go in the third period thinking like we're dominating play, we're getting pucks to the net. It's like, yeah, we're getting pucks to the net, but at a very slow rate against a gotta be honest, bottom tier goaltender. I mean that's there's no excuse to not have 30
Yeah,
plus shots through 2 periods, in my opinion. I know that seems a bit ridiculous to some, but like against the defense like that, because like Seth Jones was getting beat left and right. It wasn't that hard to get shots on net. I've always said this, Kyle, that I don't like it when you are in the middle of a line change or you're about to have a line change. I would prefer instead of just flipping the puck into the zone and then go changing, if you have somebody who's nearly into the offensive zone by himself, just shoot it on net. I'd
right.
rather you do that because then, you know what? He might take a shot, harmless. Goaltender just somehow misses it. It goes in the back of the net, and you're good. I just think that with this Flames team, I understand there's a lack of talent, lack of like top tier talent, but at the same time, this is how you counteract that by just being aggressive
Yeah.
and playing hard from start to finish. I just want to see the special teams get better.
I think I couldn't agree more, right? And you're gonna get, I mean, as this just kind of, again, I brought it up to the schedule, like as it's coming along a little bit, and it's kind of nice, like these next 3 games where you have to go on the road, come back home to a hot Pittsburgh Penguins team, and then you got to face a good Carolina team on Thursday. It's a good kind of step moving forward a little bit,
Sure.
right? Where it's just gonna get a little bit tougher, right? Not in terms of wins and losses here, but just in terms of like the special teams, like you mentioned, right? Like, you got to. I thought like, and I mean, one more good thing I'm going to say real quick in terms of the special teams, they weren't taking any stupid penalties on Tuesday night
No,
either. I think
very
Huska
disciplined.
they were very disciplined
Very
on Tuesday.
disciplined.
I thought they played really well with that. And that's something that I think Huska has mentioned before, where it's like we have to be that disciplined team. We're not going to be the team that's taking stupid penalties. We're not going to be the team that's going to shoot ourselves in the foot every night, you know? And I think that's something that another thing that he's kind of alluded to. But again, you know, regardless, they played very well defensively in that third period. I give him a lot of credit. I got to give Wolf credit because he probably is the biggest reason why that game ended the way it did. And, you know, right at the end, too, even when it was 3-1, I got to give credit to Justin Kirkland, too, who was blocking 2 shots in a row, right? And, you know, people were getting a little hyped up from that as well, too. So, you know, overall, I get it. Win's a win, but I think we've seen some better performances in my day from this team the last couple of games. And, you know, it was bound to happen, and I get it, but just some things that you got to clean up a little bit going into Saturday.
And you would think if you're just tuning in that we're complaining coming off of a loss. We're talking about a team that won 3-1, like, and a team that's still 4-0, and that's good that they have performances like this that are not great, but they still found a way to win. And for a young team that's learning together, finding different ways to win games is so vitally important because then you know that you can get through these situations and you know what it takes to get beyond it. So Huska's going to look at that with a couple of days off. He's going to look at that game and say, okay, power play needs to get better. We got to remain disciplined here, which we've done, which is really good. And we just got to be more aggressive in the offensive zone. I think that, and like you mentioned, you have some tough games against Seattle and Pittsburgh, Carolina. I would argue, though, especially with Pittsburgh, they were lucky to win last night against Buffalo. I mean, honestly, it was, and that game was on national TV, mind you. What was it, like 2 of the first 4 shots for Buffalo went in because Tristan Jarry is a steaming pile of garbage?
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
There are openings here for the Flames to score and score at a decent rate. Just get the puck on net. That's all I'm asking. Just from everywhere. Screw it. Even if it's a sharp angle and you think that there's no way it's going in, do it. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, it gets blocked and you're going the other way. What's the difference between that and you just turning over the puck in the corner and then they go the other way anyway?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. So,
and last thing before we kind of move on, overall, you know, it's been great being 4-0. Like, it's awesome, right? There's going to be games you're looking at this year going forward, and you go, be lucky to get a point out of this, right?
Right.
I'll use an example. In Vegas, that's always tough for these guys. I think it just is, right? In Carolina, I know we're not in Carolina next week. Just another example. Like, that's a tough one, right? Tough, hostile environments. In New York against the Rangers, it's another tough one, right? Lucky to get a point. But the more I'm watching this and the more that I'm just seeing other teams around the league, like, I don't think there's excuses anymore. Seeing this kind of start from this team going, yeah, you could probably walk into Colorado and beat those guys. They can come in your building and you can still find a way to beat them.
Everybody's been doing it.
Everybody's been doing it.
Look at Boston last night.
That's what I mean. So going forward, like, you know, there's going to be those nights where you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I get it. I know why they lost. Like,
right.
One of those kind of we expected. But I feel like just going forward, there's a couple of games where I'm going to look at and go, especially on Tuesday night, like, you better not be losing some of those games. Like, those are games you should be winning if you follow the formula that Ryan Huska and co. have laid out for this team.
Sure.
In these past couple of games since the season started, since training camp, you know. And last thing, because they mentioned it on Barn Burner too, love it. And I wanted to bring it up because it was a good point. They're not telling guys, Jake Bean, for example, to go rush for the puck, you know, and to be that offensive defenseman. No. You're in this role. You're a defensive defenseman for a reason, right? He tipped away a beautiful puck on Tuesday night to save a goal from Dustin Wolf. I don't know if you remember that or seen that on the highlight.
Yes.
So that's Jake Bean's job, right?
Yep.
Ashell, you know, you have your own defensive role for being physical, right? If Bean's going to be that guy where, you know, he's going to, you know, try and block shots and whatever, Paschal's going to be the physical guy to knock guys off the puck, right?
Exactly.
So ultimately what I'm saying is that through 4 games, Ryan Huska and co. has implemented this system implemented this chemistry, right, that he's trying to create with these lines, and the formula for guys to succeed within different roles. And these guys, that every time they come in, they're probably talking with these guys beforehand. This is your role tonight. We need you to do this against this player, against this line, on this, at this period of time, on this power play. This is what we need you to do. And guys have so far up to this point have been doing it. And this is why we've been so far seeing that success. And again, just use those two as an example, but it kind of sets the stage for what we're going to kind of see going forward.
Being responsible on both ends of the ice for a team like this is so vitally important. And I think that if you're able to have guys establish roles and are willing to do different things every night, because again, like you're saying, you're facing different matchups, different styles, different teams just in general, that just goes a long way. And so you mentioned Jake Bean. You know what I really liked from Bean last night, honestly, was the fact that he had such an active stick. I love that from defensive defensemen. Guys who they know they have their stick and they know how to properly use it in the defensive zone without taking a penalty. And there were several times with Jake Bean, he could have easily leaned his stick in there, tripped the guy, going to, being undisciplined. But it just seemed like to me that he just knew exactly where he needed to be position-wise to not make a mistake in that area. And that's what I like. And from the defensive side, I like that balance of defensive and physical play. You look at the last game, Kyle, Flames out-hit the Blackhawks 29-14. Now, granted, I would argue to say the Flames are a more physical team than the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean,
It showed.
And it showed. It certainly showed. But that's the type of identity I think this team needs to play with. And it wasn't a pretty game. It wasn't like a game where you could sit there, like you said, and go, oh, everything was great and nothing to complain about. These are opportunities to learn. And what makes it much easier to learn is when you are coming off of a win. That's the way I look at it. Because if you're coming off of a win where maybe you didn't play that well, you made a couple of mistakes, you could look at it with your head held high and say, okay, and we won, but now let's correct it and make sure that these wins are even better than where they are now. So that's the way I look at it.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that was a good rant. That was good.
I don't know if that was really a rant, just more.
Well, not a rant, but just was a good session. I thought that was one of our better
discussion.
Sessions. Yeah, good discussion. We love that. Okay, let's take a bit of a break here, and I'll roll through these ad reads. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. Quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 2024-25 season, and you can get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and select your team and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets. You bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Also sponsored by Game Time. I'm excited the season's back. Going to watch some junior games. Going to watch, hopefully, an NHL game in February because I live in nowhere. And I couldn't be happier to go through Game Time. I'm excited because Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It's not just for live team events. You can also go see concerts and shows and all sorts of other type of events as well. With Game Time Picks, it lets you filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I also like it too because you're allowed to look at curated seats that you can view beforehand, you buy. You can also get the super deals right at the top of the menu, and you're also guaranteed with the lowest price all the time, including event cancellation protection and job loss protection as well. With the seat viewing, you get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. You get the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you with 110% of the difference. And again, Game Time ticket coverage allows you to be covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app and create an account using code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account, redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
It's game time.
Yeah.
All right. Let's roll into Saturday. Makes things interesting because excuse me, we mentioned Sam Huska being now very recently injured. He's now out week to week with a concussion, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say upper body, but let's be honest, guys. If you saw the play, it
was a concussion. Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna be out with concussion. Luckily, I know Flames fans were pissed. I got it, but it's not like this is game one of the playoffs coming up. All right. I think that's how people were treating it. And also, too, it's not like Honzek was really standing out for the last 4 games. So let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Doesn't it make it easier now? Like if he's out for
yes.
a period of time?
Yes.
We were just talking about this last episode about how, like, people were talking about, like, where does Honzek go once Sharangovich comes out? We already talked about that there was a likely situation where when Sharangovich comes back, the Honzek may just get sent down.
Right. And this is just
like you said, he's not even really contributing that much.
Exactly. And you know what? Maybe it's just the time because I'm sorry, in the last 4 games, you're on the top line with Kadri and Kuzmenko. This is your chance. You got 4 games here to showcase something. And I don't even think you registered a point. So for Flames fans to be pissed off about his injury, it's like, hello, the guy hasn't contributed anything on the top line.
Right.
So, not to say he's not going to get another chance coming up down the road, but recover from the injury, go play some AHL games. Let's see how you do, and then we'll consider bringing you back up if there's another injury that comes into play, right? Like, this isn't the end of the world. So, whatever. If you have to go through 1 game without him, this is not the end of the world. And I don't get why people were so upset about it. It kind of pissed me off. But regardless, we mentioned that with that injury, this might give Coronado the chance because he registered a goal and an empty netter. Now a chance on the top line with Kadri and Kuzmenko. So as of today, Derek Willis, who again I appreciate bringing this out. Pat Steinberg also reposting this, but this was the lines and pairings at practice today. And like we predicted, and like I predicted literally 20 minutes ago, right as we got on, didn't even get a chance to see this, by the way. I literally just opened it up. But Coronado's going to get a chance on the top line. They keep that same line going with Postisil, Huberdeau, and Mantha. Zari, Backlund, Coleman. They like that. They stick with it. And they're going to throw Klapka in with Justin Kirkland and Ryan Lomberg. Nothing really changing. Well, actually, a little bit on defense.
The defense, not necessarily pairings, but just
actually, yes. Around. Yes, pairings a little bit because Uyghur's been playing with Miramanov the whole time. And now Miramonov's getting dropped all the way down to that. I don't know if you want to call it like 4th pair or
I'd call it the extra scale. I'd call it the healthy scratch.
Okay. Healthy scratch. So whether now again, this is just lines and practices. I guess this is just something they're trying. This isn't like this is gonna be the lineup on Saturday, but it's interesting that all of a sudden Barry now playing with Uyghur, a couple of veteran guys. I like that pairing. If at some point in the year that it has to come to that, I like that pairing a lot, actually. You got 2 offensive guys there. I like it a lot. And then Rasmus Anderson, who's been, frankly, the best defenseman with Uyghur so far this season. He's going to be playing with Ball, who Kevin Ball actually, he did have a good game on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I thought he kept guys out of the box in front of Wolf, and he blocked some really key shots as well, too, in that game. So I give Kevin Ball a lot of credit. He played really well. Sure. And also, too, I think like we expected, more than likely that Vladar is going to get the start on Saturday. And we mentioned, too, the health portion of it, right? When it comes to goaltenders, we're getting really lucky with the spacing of the game so far early on, where, again, I mentioned it, where Wolf played on Saturday, and then, he played on Tuesday. Now he's not going to play again until next Tuesday, which is great. He gets a little bit of rest now.
Tuesday, isn't that crazy?
It's wild, right? Vladar is now going to play on Saturday. That means that he probably gets the nod on Thursday. So I don't think it's necessarily they're playing matchups here. They're playing the health long game here. They're just making sure that they're getting their reps. They're getting their reps in. They're staying healthy, and they're just subbing them in and out, which I kind of like it so far. Your thoughts so far looking at this lineup here?
I think one thing you forgot to mention from the last episode is that Klapka is back in the lineup.
And Klapka, thank you. Yes.
Right, yeah. He was out day to day with something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he's back in. Kirkland, I mean, I really like the way Kirkland has played the last two games. And I think even Huska gave him a shout out after the 3-1 win against the Blackhawks, too, for his defensive play. Connor, with Zar, I find Zari to be like a pleasant surprise so far through a couple of games. I feel like he's been very active in the offensive zone, which is, I think he ended up with a point or two, I think, in the game against Chicago. I know he had one. I don't remember if he had more than one.
He is. I think he's going to break out this year.
Yeah, he seems to be like so far, like he seems to be going in that direction. The big thing is obviously, like you mentioned, Coronado basically takes over in that top side on the right side though, because they're going to move Kuzmenko over to the left because Hunsick was on that left side when Kuzmenko was on the right. This is the moment. I have to be very honest with you with Coronado. I know that yes, one of the two goals was an empty netter, but he is coming off of a really strong game, playing on a bottom six, situation.
I want to interrupt. I wouldn't call it a moment. I'm going to call it a test for him. Because in the preseason,
okay, that's a better term. That's really what I was kind of saying. Like this is like his big chance. I feel like
for him because he played so well against the Kraken in the preseason with a fairly heavy NHL roster. He potted 2 goals, and I think he had assists that night in a big 6-1 win.
Right, exactly. And so the way that I look at it for Coronado is that obviously I'm very much pulling for him because we talked about him a lot during the preseason, both good and bad. And we were talking about in just the last episode, where does Coronado still have a fit on this team right now? This is that chance to really make his case that he belongs here throughout the season, especially when Sharon Govich, coming back. This is a really good opportunity. So I'm very curious to see how he goes with Kadri and Kuzmenko, who continue to play very, very solid. I have argued this, that I feel like that this is tough. I don't know how much of a hot take this might be for some people, but I would flip Pospisil and Backlund personally. I just think that Backlund has I don't know. I can't put my finger on why I think that would be better. That's not a knock on Pospisil, by the way. It's more of just I don't know. I just think that to shake up the top 6 a little bit. I mean, there's not much to really shake up. But.
You know what? Like, they're 4-0, man. And it's been working.
Right, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Specifically, these 2 lines, Huberdeau, Pospisil, Mantha, Zari, Backlund, Coleman, those have been working. Like, they've been working all 4 games. And despite it not being, like, you just look at it strictly from 5-on-5 Tuesday night, it was great. Like, in the sense of, like, they seem to not really miss a beat. Like, we're hoping for a little bit more creative chances, like more quantity chances, because that didn't really come. I think, like, you mentioned switching Pospisil and Backlund. I think Pospisil's got to be the guy with a long Mantha to shoot, because I can't trust Huberdeau to shoot, because that's just not who he is. Yeah. Right? And we know that.
He's a pass first guy for sure.
Always a pass first guy. And knowing that, if you're Pospisil and Mantha, that's on you two then to A, create it, and B, fucking fire it at the net, man. Like, that's probably a little bit, I don't know the extent of what these roles are.
Yep.
But it's your time to shine, man. Like, you guys got to start, I mean, really, Mantha's been good, though. I'm not going to harp on these guys for that.
Mantha's been as advertised, I think, honestly. I think he's been exactly what I expected out of him.
Pospisil, I think, has been great on the draw, too. I think he's been, like, in terms of face-offs, I think he's been great on the draw.
The one guy who's been solid on the face-off dot is
Pospisil. It's been Pospisil. And Kadri, I'll give him his flowers, too. And I think the 3 guys that you see, like, they've been good. For me this year, they've been doing good on the face-off draw. So I think with
Got to do better on that.
probably if they stay healthy, Neil, I think the rest of the year, this
Yeah.
is probably two lines that you're going to see stay
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
working so far. And
Right.
and
And mhm.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, and like I said before, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? That's what I was saying. Like, I'm not like fully like definitive on like switching Pospisil and Backlund, especially with how well they've been playing so far. Um, I just think keep that in mind. Just for down the road. We'll see how things transpire over the weekend and things like that. But I just want to. That's what I look at. The other thing you mentioned it. Uyghur and Barry paired up together on that second pairing. Really, really intriguing with that.
It
Two
is, isn't it?
veteran guys who have been there, done that. Yeah, I like our defensive core right now, the way it's set up. Honestly, although I mean, there's a part of me that wants to see Jake Bean get higher up in the lineup, but he's been good where he's at. That's the thing. So again, if it
He
ain't broke, don't fix it.
him and Pash, I would have you got Bean 5, Paschal 6.
Yeah,
That's just what it's going to be this entire year. They want to have Kevin Ball because he's a bit younger, bit of a bigger presence to be in that top four. And, you sign Barry that I imagine that he's probably going to be top four as well, too. Like, again, healthy roster. I think you're going to see a lot of Bean and Paschal at that 5 and 6.
yeah,
Hanley, we haven't seen yet this year. And when Miramont Manoff does play, he's seemingly playing. And watching it on Tuesday, he does play particularly well
yeah,
with Uyghur on he's on the right side and Uyghur on the left. Because on that line, like I like it because Uyghur's your offensive guy, and
sure.
Miramont's just this big body defenseman that you're going to have to deal with coming the other way. And Uyghur kind of just adds that bit of a fourth forward presence, especially last year when he led the league in goals for defensemen. Like he kind of just brings that, right? So
Yeah,
again, we're kind of beating the same drum here because with
yeah.
stuff that we kind of already know. But it's just nice to kind of bring up discussions in terms of different pairings a little bit. But again, this is just practice
Try some
today,
things out. I think is kind of what Huska. I think
and
that's what you're seeing Huska doing, trying some things out, but he's not trying anything drastic. Because again, you're a 4-0 hockey club. You don't really have a whole lot to be complaining about right now. And I I have a hunch that Vladar's going to have a really good game against Seattle.
oh, Greg,
Yeah.
oh come on,
I,
come on.
what?
I'm gonna come at you Saturday night if he's
Okay.
pulled and it's like 5-0.
Okay. And you're going the other extreme.
Well, I'm just
You're
saying,
saying,
like,
oh, 5
you're
nothing. All right, we'll see.
well, I'm just saying, like, you tell him that he's gonna have a good game, and all of a sudden, if they falter, I'm coming for you.
Look, I said that Jack Hughes was going to have a good game against the Hurricanes. He ended up potting a goal and looked really good. So, like, I'm kind of on a roll right now.
Oh, okay, you're 1 for 1. Good job.
I'm actually 2 for 2. I don't need that right now. I
Oh,
said Jake.
whatever.
I said Jake Allen was going to do well against Utah. Oh, and he just happened to get a shutout. Jake Allen, by the way, currently the league leader in goals against average, with like I think it's .50
Oh,
loss. It's hilarious. That's 2 games. It's just this is what I love about the first 5 to 10 games of the season when you have the randos that are leading the league in stats.
yeah,
There was a point where like Paul Cotter was leading the league in goals. I mean, it's hilarious. But um
yeah, it
I
is.
really have been a fan of the rotating goalies with this team. I really
Yeah,
like it from the keeping things fresh, especially because you haven't defined a true like number one guy yet. And that's where
and
like
that's the beauty of it is they're just keeping these guys fresh. You
right,
know, we'll probably look at it and go like coming up, there might be a stretch where it might surprise us where we go, okay, Wolf plays tonight. Oh, he's going to play tomorrow night. You know what? Gives him a bit more of a longer break afterwards because then Vladar will come in. You know what I
right,
mean? So
exactly.
they're going to find, I think that's the plan. It
I agree.
seemingly looks that way so far just because, again, they've been blessed with the schedule a little bit in terms of goalies and the amount of days that they have off, right?
Yep,
Gives them a lot of days to rest. And more importantly, in a
sure.
long season, it is important that their goalies are getting their rest. And it's important, especially, I think, even more for Dustin Wolf and Vladar too. Fair enough that they get
Right.
their rest. And I
Of
think
course.
that it's nice to have, right? It's nice to have these two guys who are fighting for starting gigs, and you're getting what they're valued at right now, and you're getting a lot out of them. So it's
100%.
good to have.
Yep.
But yeah, that was a good conversation. And last one to wrap up for the day. So far, we're almost 2 weeks in, but I thought we'd bring it up just because we're a couple games in. Outside of the Flames, opening it up to the teams here. Biggest surprise so far. Biggest concern for a team so far.
Biggest surprise, Utah. I mean, they've come out the gates really strong. Scored a lot of goals. Dylan Gunther is awesome. He's really, really good. And Kyle, again, it is early, but like my hot take for like this year was that Utah was going to make the playoffs. And again, we're like 4 or 5 games into the season. A lot can happen, but like it's I really think that like Utah's going to feed off of like the energy of like being a new
At
team
home,
at
too.
home. Exactly. That was a great crowd. Their home opener was great. It was a
Playoff
great
game type.
it was playoff time when they got that first goal. I mean, that place blew up. I mean, it was awesome. So I'd say Utah. By the way, I got to see the uniforms in person.
Oh,
They
yeah.
actually look pretty good.
I
I'm
like
not
them.
gonna lie.
I like them
They
too.
look. I like the color scheme. I like. I feel like people are gonna really like Utah down like long term. I feel like it's gonna
Yeah,
be a likable team when it's all said and done. Biggest concern, kind of tough. Um, I would argue to say, I mean, not even argue. I think it's Edmonton. I
really.
mean, they. I know, like, look, last year was really bad. I mean, there was a point where people are saying they had to get over 100 points just to make the playoffs, and I think that was in like early November. Like they were really struggling.
Vegas
Uh,
had they were the last team to get in, and I think they were like mid 90s in
right,
points.
exactly. But
So,
they also had that long winning streak in the second half of the
right,
season. They got if they even got half of that winning streak they got, they don't make the playoffs.
right.
Like that's how bad of a start they got off to. What concerns me is the same thing that it's concerned me for the last couple of years. They have no goaltending. I'm very sorry, but like Stuart Skinner, just to me, is just not that guy. And I think that the Oilers have dropped the ball when it comes to finding a true number one guy. Like they dropped the ball with Jack Campbell. They're dropping the ball with Stuart Skinner.
Do you remember Victor Foss all those years
Oh
ago?
God,
Do you
Victor Fab.
remember him? Like he was
Yes.
supposed to be the number one
Do you
guy.
remember Ben Scrivens years
And
ago? Ben
scrimmage that they had. Holy
Scrivens. I mean,
crap.
shoot. Like
Whew.
I couldn't even tell you the last time because I'm not going to count last year. Okay, like
Right.
yes, Skinner had some really good games, but I'm going to quote Elliot Friedman here: when Skinner's on his game, very good, but when he's bad, it's really
He's
bad.
bad. Like,
It's like give up 6 goals a night, bad.
yeah,
I mean, the only
go in
guy
between.
that I could argue has been just as bad is Tristan Jarry in Pittsburgh. That's
Right.
about as much as I can go with. After that, like I'm just saying, like again, I know it's early, but Edmonton, they got to clean some stuff up, man. They got to clean
Okay.
some stuff up, and that's that. I was
Okay.
gonna say Pittsburgh, but it's like I don't have as high of an expectation with Pittsburgh as a lot of other people do. Like
Sure.
again, because of goaltending, and it's coming to fruition. So
So I
I don't.
got two different ones than you, which is nice.
Awesome.
So biggest surprise for me, outside of the obvious here, I've got the Wild. They're 2-0-2, so two overtime losses. They've taken team there. This team could easily be 4-0 as well. I have them in the playoffs this year when we did our season prediction early on. And I like what I'm seeing out of them. I like their two goalie tandem as well, and Fleury and Gustafson, goal the other day. They
That was a nice
they
goal. That
hammered
was
they
good.
hammered the Blues the other night. Haven't seen a lot from them in terms of highlights, but yeah, it's a solid start for the Wild, man. I'm happy with what I'm seeing from them. Um, biggest concern is the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know
That
why?
was Yeah.
They're 0-4.
They are 0-4.
They are 0-4, and I watched them last night a little bit.
Goaltending is abysmal.
I watched them against Boston last night. Georgiev, not great.
Terrible.
He was not good last night. Not only him, but that defense outside of Cale Makar, pretty piss poor too.
I mean, even
Like,
Cale Makar wasn't necessarily great.
yeah, he scored. Well, he scored last night, and they're still
Well,
good
I'm
on the
talking
power
about from
play.
a defensive standpoint.
Right.
Not
Just that I watched a bit of the second period, and it was the Bruins scored back-to-back goals like it was nothing, and like just fed off that momentum. And man, 0-4, like to start. Colorado, like one of the teams that like I didn't think Colorado would be 0-4 to start. You know what I mean?
You
Like
couldn't predict that. You
you
couldn't predict
couldn't.
that.
And it's like the crazy part is like here's the craziest stat though. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just do my math real quick here.
Go ahead.
Well, we can do it together. How about that?
Sure.
In these 4 games, okay, they let in 8 against the Golden Knights. They let in 6 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. They let in 6 to the New York Islanders. They let in 5 to the Boston Bruins last night.
25.
Like 25
goals
in 4 games. And we're talking like playoff team, Blue Jackets or the Blue Jackets, Islanders, middle of the pack, the playoff team, Bruins playoff team.
Yep.
That's 25 goals in 4 games.
Yep. Yep.
They're lucky because they have a little bit of stretch here where they got Anaheim, San Jose, and the Kraken coming up. And then Utah and Ottawa and Chicago. Like that schedule is like, okay, maybe they can right the ship.
This is the time to get going here.
But that's the thing. They gotta get going now, man.
They gotta keep the puck out of their own net. That's what they have to do.
That is abysmal.
And I think the thing that needs to be done to turn some stuff around, you got to play Capo Kakinen. You just picked him up off the waivers.
Yeah.
Do it now. Because look at it this way. Capo Kakinen got traded from San Jose to New Jersey at the deadline last year.
Yeah.
Capo Kakinen combination with Jake Allen allowed the Devils to still be in a playoff hunt until the second to last day of the year. And Kakinen
is still servable.
Really well. So you got to try anything right now because it's not good. It is not good. And you know when it's bad, Kyle? When like someone like Miles Wood is playing on your top left wing side.
He's a third liner.
He's a third liner at best.
Yeah.
On the Flames, I would argue that he's like
fourth
line.
Fourth line. He's seriously fourth line on that team.
Yeah. That's the way. So, yeah. As a former goaltender, I am getting so angry with how bad goaltending is around most of the league.
I had Colorado missing the playoffs this year. See what happens. But, well, I think that'll wrap it up.
Minnesota Wild, by the way, they're going to be the New York Islanders of this year. They're going to get a lot of those stupid 1-point games where they didn't play well. If you look at the 2 games that they lost in overtime / shootout, right? They didn't even play well in either one of them. Yeah. They to me, no business getting a point, but they got a point out of it. That is the John Hines system in a nutshell. That's crazy. And Philip Gustafson is making so much money right now with the way he's playing. And I think for Fleury, if he can make the playoffs one more time, I think that would be fun. He's just having fun. Hasn't been tremendous so far.
He's just having fun. Exactly.
He's just vibing.
Well, I think that'll wrap it up for today. Again, we got a game Saturday. Calgary's going to be in Seattle on Saturday. We'll be back on Monday for more news, a little bit of a late recap, getting ready for Tuesday night against Pittsburgh. If you guys want to check me out Tuesday and Thursday next week, because I missed a whole week this week without going live. So I'm going to make it up next week and go live for 2 nights. I'll be live Tuesday night, and then I'll be live with some fun people on Thursday night. Surgecast guys from Carolina when they come into town Thursday. So Yeah, that'll do it for us today for
Yep.
number 8 of God knows how many episodes. And yeah, hope you all, hope yourself, Neil. I hope you have a great weekend coming up. Enjoy.
Thank
We
you.
got beautiful weather here on my end, and I'm excited to just I just want to be outdoors this weekend. It's gonna be
Yeah.
good. I can't wait. Yeah.
Also, really quickly, I wanted to shout out Rory Currens playing for
Ooh,
the
more shout
Wranglers.
outs.
Rory Currens had a hat trick in
Nice.
the Wranglers' dominant win over Coachella Valley. What was that? Was that yesterday? I'm trying to remember what day was. No, it was,
Yeah, I think it was recent. Yeah, it was
it was
Tuesday.
last
Tuesday.
night. Um,
Last night's. Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's no, that's regular season. Yeah, no, that counted. Yep. So, yeah,
He'll
good
be
win
an
for the
eye.
Wranglers, by
Yeah,
the
he'll
way.
be somebody, at least somebody to keep an eye on. So we'll see. Maybe he finds a way into this lineup very soon.
We shall see.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that'll do it for us today, guys. Thanks for checking us out, and we will see you all again on Monday. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Later, guys.